Welcome back to the Birdcage. I am Jack Kenna, joined alongside Alex King, and today we will be previewing Creighton's biggest game of the season thus far, in-state rival Nebraska Cornhuskers. Alex, I know this has been one of the most important games of our fandom since we were little kids. Talk about that a little bit. Talk about what you hope is going to happen on Friday night. I know that it is going to be an interesting game. Talk about what you hope to see from the Blue Jays.
Yeah, well, this is a rivalry that hasn't really been a rivalry as of late. I think we've won the last seven, maybe. I'm
Well, we
looking at,
lost. We lost in 2 years ago.
oh, we did.
Well, remember at home, but
Yeah,
before
yeah,
that,
yeah.
Creighton. It was damn.
Let's see. I have
Since
it put up.
1997, we have lost one, two, three, four, five, six, 7 times since 97.
Yeah, well, considering Nebraska's sorry basketball program doesn't even have an NCAA tournament win, this is probably how it should be. But yeah, looking at it, the last time they beat us 2 years ago, before that was 2018, and then before that was a long time. Obviously, I'm hoping for a win. I haven't really watched a lot of Nebraska. I've kept up with their score against St. Mary's, which they actually kept very close,
Yeah.
surprisingly. Only lost by three, so that's kind of a good sign. But I mean, I think we should probably win this game by 20. What's the spread? Is there a spread right now?
I don't know if there's necessarily a spread out. Um, I could take a look real quick. I know that Nebraska
It
was
says
a
three
three
and a
and
half. That doesn't make sense.
let me tell you, if the spread is Creighton minus 3.5, I'm going to hammer
Yeah, I'm putting my
the Blue
rent on that.
Jays. The Blue Jays are going to win this game by a lot. I don't think Greg McDermott's going to let them forget about what happened a few years ago at home. And I really feel like Creighton is just a far more dominant team. I'm not sure this Nebraska team is going to be very good.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Well, last year in Pinnacle, it was their best team they've had in forever, and we beat them 90 to 60. So if that doesn't
we
say anything.
we ran them, but that you could a lot of different things could be said for that game. Creighton came off a bad game against them the previous year, wanted redemption, and then our guys hit shots. The year before that, when we lost at home, we weren't hitting anything. I remember I was at that game with my dad, and the drive back was really sad.
Yeah.
You almost have to turn your phone off when Creighton loses.
All the Nebraskers in my group
'Cause,
chats and on the Twitter.
yeah, you're gonna get a lot of memes and a lot of laughing. It's too frustrating for real diehards like us.
Yeah. Well, I think the
Um,
story of this game, the tallest player on Nebraska's roster, besides a guy by the name of Braxton Me, I don't even think he plays, is 6'10". It's Burke Buyukudnukul. No idea who that is, but he's 6'10", and he's their only tall guy that plays. And I think Ryan Kalkbrenner will have a field day if that's all they have.
yeah. God, I've noticed in my podcast that I say a lot. And
Yeah,
like I'm
basketball.
trying to stop it, but like then I think about it so much.
That's why I
But you're
lock.
right. Ryan Kolkbrenner should have a field day. However, Hoiberg's not going to let that happen. He won't.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
far, so far, when Nebraska has played Creighton in like the Kolkbrenner era, Ryan Kolkbrenner hasn't been able to get a whole bunch going because they focused on if Creighton's going to beat us, they're going to beat us from the three.
yeah.
Which, if I'm Nebraska, that's the way you got to play it. It
Yes, but
really is.
that's also kind of what we want, I feel like, with our teams. Like maybe not the last couple years because we haven't been great at shooting, especially with this team. I think that's kind of what we want.
I mean, you can make that argument. I know that if a team is going to beat us, they're gonna have to beat us by doing something that's not easy layups through Kalkbrenner. He's averaging 90% from the field.
Yeah.
Like that's ridiculous number. It's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
Yeah, if
Is
I'm
what it is.
Nebraska, my game plan would be to double Kalkbrenner and to make Ashworth pass the ball. And then other than that, I think it's kind of a free for all. Like you can't have Ashworth shooting threes and you can't have Kalkbrenner shooting 90% and putting up 30.
If I'm Hoiberg, I would be very comfortable leaving Neal, Green, even Trout until Trout makes a few. Leaving
Yeah.
those guys open. Pop Isaacs, like leave those guys open for three. They haven't been consistent makers so far. I mean, Trout's had a few bad games. He's had a few games where he shined from behind the arc, but he hasn't played a whole lot of minutes in
Mhm.
the Nebraska system, if we're being honest and being frank. So those guys, you almost have to. If we're gonna lose, we're gonna lose because these guys are playing really good.
Yeah. They're
You're
gonna
not
flip.
gonna let Ashworth and Kalkbrenner do what you know they can do.
Yeah, agreed.
Overall, though, looking at Nebraska and looking at the what Nebraska has had so far this year, they lost Mast in the summer. That was their biggest hit. So you needed guys like Jawan Gary, Bryce Williams to step up, and I think they have.
Yeah.
Connor Season, even coming over from Wisconsin, has been a help. They have a lot of transfers. A team that's made of transfers, really. I don't know what your opinions are on this Nebraska team. I think this is really top heavy. I think Bryce Williams is a really good basketball player. I think Jawan Gary can do a lot of good things for you. Outside of that, I'm not sold on this team. It reminds me of the team. I need to look it up. When Nebraska had a 5 star,
Oh, they had a Will.
Bryce McGowan's.
Yes, McGowan's.
That's his name. When the team had McGowan's, it was pretty much McGowan's got 20 and everyone else didn't do anything, and the team won like 4 games.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I am down on this Nebraska team just because I don't know if this team is going to be good enough to win games in the Big Ten. I think the Big Ten's a stinky conference.
Yeah, I
Like,
agree.
I don't think that conference is very good. I just think Nebraska's team doesn't even match up to compete with some of those other teams.
Yeah, well, I'm looking at so Bryce Williams against UTRGV, who's apparently a powerhouse because they took Wisconsin to overtime. He had 27, and then last game against St. Mary's, he had 28, which that's St. Mary's is a legit opponent, so he's obviously something to worry about. I don't even know who do you think we put on him?
He's a
Neil?
guard, but he's a bigger guard, if I'm like not mistaken. He's like a
Yeah,
six. Yeah, he's 6'7". He's a
I think we
wing.
put Jemiah Neal on him probably.
You got to put Neal on him. Neal's been
Yeah,
talking about his ability, how he needs to make an impact on the defensive end, and he's an athletic monster.
yeah,
If someone's going to be able to get in front of Bryce Williams, it's going to be Jemiah Neal. This is also because, like, really, you can't put Trout on him. Trout's too big and still probably be too slow for Bryce Williams. You don't want to go smaller than Neal. That's pop.
yeah.
I
No,
don't want to do that. I
I'll
guess
have his
Jason
general
Green
defensive
maybe, but
ability.
I don't trust Jason Green's ability to stay in front of anybody right now, especially someone
No,
averaging 19 points a game.
I agree.
So I'm gonna say you got to put Neal on him.
Yeah. But then they have Jawan Gary, he's 6'6". So, I mean, is that pop? Because he's
That's
their second best
Trout.
player.
That's Trout.
Yeah.
Well, like
Yeah.
I don't know if that is Trout matchup wise, but that's Juwan Gary runs their four. I think. I I'm gonna be really honest.
He's
Nebraska basketball has not come across my.
I think he's their four. He says he's a forward.
I think
So,
I think Juwan Gary is their four,
yeah.
and so that's hypothetically where you would put Trout. I think Juwan Gary's not a very. I don't think Juwan Gary is an offensive threat.
Yeah, I
Like
don't think
to
it'd be a
be
problem.
honest, he's not. I don't think he's gonna kill us. If he does kill us, tip his hat. Like we'll send him a Christmas card if he is shooting threes and stuff.
Yeah.
I really like our chances with even Trout on him. Trout's maybe not bigger, but he's taller.
Hmm.
I think he's a lot more mobile this year. So I would like I think Isaac Trout could guard him. I think Jason Green hypothetically could guard him. Oh, I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't
Yeah.
like sitting here being like I this Nebraska team scares me, but that's because every time we play Nebraska, I'm scared. Like, does
Yeah.
that
I
make
don't,
sense? Like, it's like every time we play UConn, I'm a little nervous. Even if
yeah.
UConn or like Providence, even if Providence isn't good.
Providence for sure. Yeah. Anything could happen in a rivalry game, but I mean, we beat I obviously last year it doesn't matter as much, but they lost Tominaga, they lost Brink Mast, like they're two guys to go to, and
Yeah.
they didn't really get anything out of it. And
Hot take. Hot take. Losing Tominaga was a victory for Nebraska.
he's a shot chucker, but
I think he chucked a lot of shots and he
he's
took
kind
a
of
lot
their
of shots away from the offense.
when he was making them, they were good. But if he was missing, they were screwed.
Well, that's who Nebraska fans think their Jesus Christ is, and that's just not true.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely don't even know he was their best player last year. I think it was Mast.
Yeah, well, Tominaga didn't really play defense, and if he wasn't making shots, he was useless, but he usually made his shots.
Yeah, he didn't against Creighton, though. That's what kept us in it.
Yeah, true.
I'm excited for the game. I'm nervous, but that's just how it is. That's to be expected.
Well, this is our first opponent that has like a two arms and two legs. Like we've played nobody. So
They
this is
they might have two arms and one leg.
one and a half, maybe, yeah.
Yeah, or maybe like a little bit of a peg leg
Couple
because
toes missing.
I don't think this Nebraska team's super good.
No.
They played St. Mary's close, but if you look at their schedule,
Bethune-Cookman, they beat by
Bethune
5.
Cookman they beat by 5 at home.
Yeah.
I mean, congratulations, you beat UTRGV by more than we did.
Yeah.
Like you beat them by 20, we beat them by 13. Right? Wisconsin beat them by 3. I don't think that team's going to beat Wisconsin.
No.
We beat FDU by more than what they did. Woohoo.
Yeah,
I
those
don't
just
know.
don't really matter.
Nebraska is a team that really likes moral victories. Nebraska likes moral victories. That's what it is. Congrats, we beat UTRGV by more than Creighton did.
Yeah. Well,
That doesn't translate.
the difference between the Creighton team and the Nebraska team is if Nebraska wins this game, that would make their season. But I mean, if Creighton loses this game, obviously we're upset, but I don't think it's the end of the world.
Like, are we going to talk about how beating Creighton in Omaha 2 years ago kept Fred Hoiberg's job alive?
Yeah.
There were talks about him getting fired before the year. Goes into Omaha, stuns Creighton, stuns the world pretty much. And all of a sudden, he's getting a contract extension. He had a good year last year. That Nebraska team was good to watch. They're fun to watch. I think Fred Hoiberg's a good college basketball coach. I just don't
Yeah.
think this team's very good.
Yeah. I'm looking at the stats from the game they beat us in Omaha. Guess who our leading scorer was? I'll give you one guess.
Was
It's
it Cole Brenner with like 12?
No, it's Francisco Farabello.
See, you're not winning games with Francisco Farabello as your leading scorer.
Farabello put up 16. Was he starting? I don't think he was starting.
No, he wasn't starting for
Oh
sure.
yeah, because that was Nemhard
That was when we
Trey.
had Nemhard, Kaluma, Trey. Damn, that team should not have lost. That
No,
was the team that damn near made the Final Four.
yeah, that's insane that we lost them. But I mean, Farabello put up 16, and then Kalkbrenner and Shireman had 10. It was just terrible shooting. We went 10 for 40 from 3.
Also, this year, Kalkbrenner is a different player now than he was 2 years ago.
Oh yeah,
And I feel like Greg McDermott's grown as a coach now since he has 2 years ago. If we're taking 43s and we're making 10 of them, I'm pretty confident that we would switch it up. Greg McDermott's one of the best offensive minds in the country.
Mhm.
Last year, Nebraska stuck with their game plan that they did 2 years ago, and it was if Creighton's going to win, they're going to beat us from 3. We did that. Specifically, Baylor Shireman did that, ran Nebraska out of the gym. Do you think Fred Hoiberg is going to go back to that?
But forcing us to shoot threes.
Yeah.
I think so. I think our team this year, besides Ashworth, is definitely worse at shooting than it was last year. Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's true. Ashworth's better than he was last year. But
I think Kalkbrenner can stretch the floor a little bit. I don't want Kalkbrenner doing any dribble moves, step backs like he did.
yeah.
I'd step threes.
Realistically, how confident are you in a guy besides Ashworth to make threes?
Pop Isaacs, I'm skeptical.
He needs to get into the groove a little bit.
But I really think Pop Isaacs can dominate this game just because of how shifty that he is. He could be able to get in I don't think they go zone. They might go zone. If Nebraska goes zone, I'm really confident that we could throw the ball into Kalkbrenner. He'll just go like this above everyone's head and then kick out to an open shooter. I trust Trout to make a 3.
I think he'll make a couple this game.
I think Trout is definitely been one of our most improved players. Even defensively, he hasn't There have been no issues so far.
I agree.
That's really scare me. I think he's even been rebounding the ball really well. In terms of Neal made one or two last game.
Yeah, I Trout so far this year is averaging 17 minutes with 8 points. I mean, that's you can't ask for any more than that.
I mean, in 17 minutes is funny because he's been the first guy to come out, like how Mason Miller was last year.
Yeah,
Was like we're gonna take out Miller and then Farabella's going in. It's we're gonna take out Trout and someone else is going in. We
yeah.
need to see Miller back.
Is he playing this game?
I hope. We need to see Miller healthy.
Yeah, well,
A
because
Mason Miller that can, even if he's not starting, can come in and when he gets open, he's gonna shoot it and it's gonna go in
yeah,
most of the time.
as much as we hate on Mason Miller, he we need him on this team.
Mason Miller is a key part to this Creighton team. Jason Green needs to come in and play his role, and that's gritty defense, hard defense. I
Mhm.
don't know where you can put him right now.
Yeah, he hasn't shown anything. I have no
He can't
confidence in
score
him.
on offense, and then
No.
defensively right now he's even been struggling. So you're kind of questioning like, what do we do with Jason Green,
Yeah.
who I also think is going to be a very key part to this Creighton team. McAndrews shown flashes that he can play.
Mhm.
Jackson McAndrews can play.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
He's been one of our better offensive players so far this year. He led
Our
the
lead,
team in scoring last
leading
game.
scorer.
Neal, I think, is going to be a key part to the team. We need to hear on Fedor.
Yeah,
I was hoping it would be this week. Cray Takes kind of posted something saying, "Hey, maybe we'll get something this week from the NCAA." That's what I've been hearing. So far, nothing.
Yeah.
Obviously, Wednesday's not over when we're recording this. I've been checking Twitter all day.
Yeah, it's
All
kind
day
of a
I've been checking
complete
Twitter
radio
looking for
silence.
something new on this thing. Nothing. Nothing new. I'm starting to get worried because if it's not going to be now, when is it going to be?
Yeah, what can change in the next month that's not changing now? Like, that's the kind of thing I'm thinking.
Like if the NCAA is literally just waiting to do it now.
Yeah.
Like I think his first game in Omaha being the Nebraska rivalry game would be so fun. First guy off the bench. Um, because I'm not assuming. I know that he's been practicing. He's been getting accustomed to how we play. So
But it's
there's no doubt in my mind that Greg McDermott want to give him a few minutes in the game. It would just kind of be like how comfortable is he yet?
yeah. Well, he's got to get into the game flow. Like, there's
Yeah.
a big difference between playing in practice and playing in front of 15,000 fans.
Yeah, you're right. But I do think he would get minutes if he was eligible. We just need to get that confirmation from somebody, and I'm hoping it comes in soon.
Yeah, I just really want him by December 4th because
I would like him by December 4th.
I mean, we probably need one more body in order to have a chance against KU.
KU hasn't impressed me this year. I'll be straight
Oh,
up.
they really haven't. And well, so I had the pleasure of being front row against North Carolina. The first half, I was like, this is the best team in the country by far. They're so talented, so athletic. The
So
second
many
half,
dudes.
yeah, and everybody was like Zeke Mayo making shots. AJ Storr looked pretty good. Um, Rylan Griffin looked good, but then they've kind of I know this isn't the KU podcast, but they really have kind of struggled, and I think Creighton will have a chance there, but
Every time I
that's for
look at
another
that
time.
game, every time I watch KU play, get a little giddy because I just don't know who's gonna stop Kolkbrenner.
Oh yeah,
And
yeah,
athletically, Creighton is so much more athletic than they were a year ago. I think KU we would have beat KU just because I think KU was bad.
yeah.
Quite honestly, I just don't think KU was very good last year.
They were not good.
This year, I feel like Creighton has a legitimate chance just because of athleticism. This year, we're more athletic, which
Yeah.
helps
So
us.
I think we're more athletic, but we're still not athletic as them.
No,
But yeah, I think we definitely have a chance for sure.
that matchup's going to get exciting because there's a few games in between now and then.
To really
Obviously, we
figure
have
out.
our Thanksgiving thing in Vegas that you're going to.
I am, yes.
Okay, so you're
Well,
going.
KU also is going to be in Vegas at the same time they got Duke
They
in
play
Vegas.
Duke and Furman.
See, they only have two games in between, and we have like four.
Yeah.
to get into the swing. So I mean,
It's going
it's
to be hard when you have a Thursday, when you have the Monday night game against, I don't know, who would we play Monday night or whatever. I'm just creating a hypothetical like Loyola Chicago.
yeah,
And Wednesday you have Kansas. How are you going to mentally prepare, physically prepare to take on the quote unquote number one team in the country? I guess
yeah.
we'll see if Kansas is the number one team in the country, but
They probably will
wow,
be.
we got really sidetracked
Yeah,
talking
I don't know
about
how this
AO.
happened.
But like, I don't know. It's going to be exciting. It's a fun time. Now we're kind of getting into the big games of college basketball. This is why we do what we do.
Yeah, well, I was doing homework last night and I just realized Marquette Purdue is on. And it's like that's such a fun game just to watch. It's very exciting that good basketball games are back.
Yeah. Marquette looks really good. We'll talk
Speaking
about
of
that
that,
later.
yeah, Jones dropped a triple double, so that's a little scary.
Cam Jones is going to win Big East Player of the Year.
It'll be between him and Kalkbrenner for sure.
Oh, 100%. I think Cam Jones has an argument to be a first team All American. That's how good he is. He can
I mean, yeah,
literally get a bucket whenever he wants. And that Purdue defense wasn't
triple
very
doubles are
good.
so rare. Triple doubles in college basketball are so rare, and he dropped one.
Who was the last player in the Big East to get a triple double before Cam Jones?
Didn't Shireman have one last year?
It was Shireman. I was
Yeah,
seeing you knew that.
nice
Um,
little drop.
imagine that wasn't even true. Imagine like Eric Dixon fucking did that last game of the Big East season or something against like DePaul.
Yeah,
No, I think it is Kalkbrenner. Well, the Big East is as much as I have been hating the Big East so far because their non-conference has been really bad. There are really good teams still in the conference. St. John's plays Baylor on Thursday, so tomorrow we have Marquette, who just
is
beat
UConn ever
Purdue.
gonna play anybody?
No, UConn won't.
What's
No,
their
eventually they do. They play Gonzaga, I think, some point in the season, but they're just getting their bye games in really
Oh,
early.
yeah, I'm looking. They play.
They have a good. I think they actually have a pretty solid non-conference.
The same night we play Kansas, they play Baylor, and then they play Texas and Gonzaga in a row. So
Yeah,
that'll be tough.
so they'll have a few tougher games before Big East conference play, but
Yeah,
overall, um, the Big East conference looks to be about where it was last year.
I think it will
Hopefully, a
work.
little better.
I don't know. Like the bottom teams are bad, and
The
Villanova is
bottom,
bad.
the bottom teams are bad. Seton Hall's bad. Nova's bad.
Georgetown's
DePaul,
bad. Big East
DePaul,
terrible.
DePaul 6-0.
Yeah, that's fool's gold.
Yeah, they're bad. DePaul's still bad.
DePaul is the leader of the. I'm looking at the Big East standings. They are leading the Big East right now.
Well, they're 6-0. Take a picture of it, Blue Demon Degenerate, because you're not going to be up there come conference play.
Yeah, that's insane. But Seton Hall is terrible. Villanova's terrible. Georgetown's terrible. Butler's, I don't think, great.
Yeah, I don't think Butler's very great either. They literally lost to Austin P, who have Hansel Emmanuel, who has one arm. So
Yeah, and he dunked on them. So
he did. I am still refreshing my Twitter to see if I have any Fedor updates. The answer is no, but the number one center in the class of 2026 committed to Georgia Tech.
what?
Okay.
What does he want to do with his life? He wants to become an engineer.
I guess he does. I guess he has a future in basketball. He just wants to be an engineer.
He wants to get that Georgia
I
Tech
can't, I
degree.
can't hate. I can't hate on that.
Good for him. Academic
Before
muscle.
before we end this, I know our last 5 minutes have been not Creighton, Nebraska.
Yeah, complete
I want
off
to
the
get
rails.
I want to get your score prediction for Friday.
Okay, let me look at the score last year was 89 to 60.
Yeah, we beat them by. I remember last year when we said we beat them by 30, they would come back and say it was 29.
Yeah, 29. Yeah, so I think we score less, they score more. I think it'll be 82 to 68.
Okay, I don't hate that. I think Creighton's defense eventually has to just come out and play.
Yeah.
I think we have the athleticism, Kolkbrenner to be a top defensive unit again. I think this would be a great game to get that started. I think Creighton, I'm gonna go. See, I want to say we win by 29, just to like mess with them again. I'll say that we win. We win. I'll go same score as last year.
Oh, that
Nine.
would be pretty sick if that
I
happened.
think. I think that I other than Bryce Williams and maybe Jawan Gary, nobody on that Nebraska team strikes fear in me. I
Hmm.
think even off Creighton's bench, you have Green, you have Miller. Hopefully he's healthy. If Fedor is eligible, I mean, he's like could potentially be a top five player in college basketball from what people are saying.
Yeah, it's just hard for me
Like,
to get behind that right now because I just don't know what he's like.
I think we have guys on our bench who are killers. I don't know if Nebraska has any killers. Now that I say that, one of their bench guys is going to go off for 16.
Yeah.
But I feel very confident about Friday. Okay, we're not winning by 29.
Yeah, I thought that was a little
No,
bit
we're not.
much.
I'll give us 20.
Yeah.
I'll say
It's a
87,
little-
67. It's close for a little bit of the game. Creighton's always up by 13, 11, and then
Yeah,
towards the end of the game, we kind of go on a low flurry and win by 20. That's what I'll go with.
I think that's
I think that's
realistic.
a little more realistic than the 29
Okay.
killing. But I don't know, Alex. Had fun talking basketball with you for a little bit.
Yeah, of course I love it.
Hopefully the Blue Jays can get a win because I don't know mentally if I could do it if we lose.
Yeah, that would be rough.
Like, come on, just lose to somebody else. I wouldn't even care if you like. Yeah, that's not
We're,
true. I
we're,
would
we
care, but like lose to somebody else, not Nebraska.
I'm kind of scared of the SDSU game because Mountain West is our arch nemesis. So we'll see. That might be where our loss comes.
I could see it.
Well, speaking upcoming, so our next three games are Nebraska, San Diego State, and Texas A&M. If you had to pick one loss there, who do you think we lose to?
Probably Texas A&M.
Yeah, but I don't think they're amazing.
I don't think they're amazing either, but we haven't played anybody. I mean,
Yeah,
they
true.
they lost to UCF first game of the year, sure, but then they beat up on Ohio State, who was ranked.
Yeah.
Um,
San Diego State lost to Gonzaga by 13. They haven't played anybody besides that.
I think San Diego State always plays Gonzaga hard because it's Gonzaga. I think they're gonna play Creighton hard because it's Creighton. We don't
Yeah.
like them, but I think we get the win this year. Um,
Yeah, that's gonna be a low scoring slugfest, I think.
it's gonna be a slugfest. It's gonna be that could easily be a game where it's 60 to 56, and you're just like, yeah, they pulled out a win. I think
Yeah.
the A&M game is gonna be fast tempo. It's a buzz team.
Yeah, and Wade Taylor's kind of scary.
Wade Taylor might have 70 against us.
Gotta hold everybody else to zero.
Genuinely, that's where my head's at.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone on that team can beat us other than Wade Taylor. I know they have the Nebraska transfer. What's his name?
Uh, I know who you're talking about. I'm looking at their roster right now.
Because he would have helped the Huskers this year. He decided to jump ship and follow his AD.
I'm not seeing it. Oh, CJ Wilcher.
Yeah, CJ Wilcher. He would have
Yeah.
helped the Huskers this year, but I don't know if he bag chased or what. If he bag chased to Texas
Place
A&M,
place
automatic
that bag chasing.
respect,
Yeah,
automatic respect, because I'm a big advocate for
the bag
chasing the
chasing.
bag. Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's why, like, as time's grown up, like, as I've kind of like grown a little older since Ryan Nemhard broke my heart and left us for Gonzaga,
Yeah, but that's still
realized I've realized the opportunity to go bag chase and be at U of A was probably worth hitting the portal. Um, if that would have happened, I think I would have respected his decision.
yeah,
However, because they lied to him and he then couldn't come back to Creighton because we were
yeah.
replacing with Ashworth, kind of makes me not respect that decision more. Like at
Yeah,
least at least know you're getting the bag before you go.
every time I see Ryan Nembhard play, I still get a little sad because he was my favorite player.
I think I think if we had Ryan Nemhard, Creighton would be probably a top five team in the country. When you just look at Nemhard, Kolkbrenner,
And last year,
last year we easily would have been top five in the country. I think we could have had a really good chance because Nemhard did a lot of the dirty things. He was a good defender. He would even get some rebounds. I don't
yeah,
know. Great
yeah, he was great.
passer.
I can't believe how off topic we got this
We got
podcast.
really off topic, but that's the fun about this. You start it and you don't know where it's gonna go. So
Yeah,
I appreciate you coming on. What
yeah,
was
of
your
course.
score
Thanks, bro.
prediction again?
82 to 68.
Yeah, that was a good prediction. I'm on the same page as you. I think we won by 20. I appreciate you coming on.
Of course, thanks for having me. I always have a good time.
So it's gonna be a blast. You're gonna have to come on for the after the what do you call that? The recap.
Little after party.
Yeah, we'll recap. get a little celebration in before your 21st. That's gonna be exciting.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. I'll talk to you later, Alex. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, sir.
Hi, guys. I just want to thank you for listening to the Birdcage podcast. And now I'm going to share a new adventure that I'm on. I am a co host of the B Team Sports Show, where once a week, myself and three of my best friends talk all types of sports. If that interests you, check out our social media platforms below. Now back to the Birdcage.
Hello and welcome back to the Birdcage. I am Jack Kenna, joined alongside Carson Wolfe, longtime friend of mine, listener to the podcast. Carson, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
We're not going to sugarcoat it. It's rivalry week. Rivalry week. Your Nebraska Cornhuskers take on my Creighton Bluejays. What do you call it? Does this rivalry have a name? I-80 rivalry or something like that?
Maybe something like that.
I don't even know if I-80 is the interstate that separates Lincoln and Nebraska or Omaha. I genuinely don't know. But it's a big game. It is. You've been a Husker fan for how long? I know you go to school there. How long have you been a Nebraska ball
My
fan?
whole life.
Your whole life you've been supporting the Huskers.
Yep. Been brutal, but
I'm
we're
sorry.
on the upward trajectory.
Upward trajectory. We'll see. As much as I want to hate on Nebraska right now, you guys have actually played somebody. You guys lost to St. Mary's. When was that? Tuesday? No, I guess Sunday. A few days ago, you guys played St. Mary's.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kind of talk about what did you see in that game? I watched the highlights, but I wasn't really tuned into that game. What did you see in the St. Mary's loss that maybe inspired you or made you a little nervous?
Yeah. St. Mary started off hot from three that game. You know, they had one guy, what was his name? Luke Barrett. He hit like three threes probably in the first like 4 minutes. Didn't do much after that.
Mhm.
Another big thing in that game was Bryce Williams. He had 28. No, he really kept us in it, but it was kind of limited a little bit with foul trouble. So it was nice to see the team really rally around him and, keep that game close.
Yeah. Bryce Williams has definitely shown, at least to somebody who hasn't tuned into a lot of Bryce Williams in Nebraska basketball, has really looked like their best player, their most dominant player.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Really, he's really the only guy on the team that you can really just give the ball and just he can go score for you. That Nebraska doesn't have a lot of those guys. A lot of those guys kind of just fit around him. And for Nebraska to win a lot of games this year, he's going to have to lead them in scoring almost every night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Everything that I've seen about Bryce Williams and Nebraska basketball kind of indicate what you're saying. Nebraska basketball is different this year. The first thing that you said about Nebraska when you came on is you said a lot of different faces and a lot of new faces.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. That a big transfer class, a lot of new guys on the team. Talk about what you've seen from those guys that you think can really make a difference on Friday.
Yeah. Nebraska really only has four guys coming back from last year in their 10-man rotation. So you got Gary and Bryce that have been there and done that. And then around them, you got Raleigh Wooster transfer from Utah. He's really the only true point guard Nebraska's had under Fred Hoiberg. A lot of the other guys are like looking to score. He's more of a pass first kind of guy. You got Birke. He's from UCLA. He's just a skilled big man. I was waiting for him to kind of have a breakout game. He hadn't really been doing much, but St. Mary's, he really had a good game there. And then just a lot of experience, which is what Fred Hoiberg went out for this class compared to his previous teams.
Yeah, I like that. You touched on your guard, Rolly. What was his last name? Royster?
Wooster. It's
Wooster.
Wooster. Yeah.
Excuse me. Funny enough, he actually played with Creighton point guard Stephen Ashworth at Utah State before he transferred to Utah. So a lot of similarities, a lot of familiarities between the two teams. Fred Hoiberg made a comment saying this is an interesting rivalry. Most of the Creighton fans wearing blue will be wearing red on Saturday. I want your opinion on that because I know that going to Nebraska, that is probably something that you guys talk about when Creighton is brought up. Can you confirm that?
Yeah, there's a lot of people that care way more about Creighton basketball than they do about Nebraska basketball here at UNL. I remember last year home game, there's UNL students camped out to get front row wearing all Creighton stuff in the front row of our student section behind the hoop. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's talked about a lot.
That made Fox Sports, I'm pretty sure that made ESPN. That was everywhere on social media. Really funny though. If that happened at Creighton, I would be pretty shocked. I don't know if that
Yeah.
will. But
No.
you touched on it. This is an important game. It's a new game. We haven't seen a full Nebraska game yet.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, I can speak from Creighton. Creighton's come out slow. We haven't seen every piece from like on the puzzle mix yet.
Yeah.
What do you think Nebraska would have to do to beat Creighton on Friday?
To beat Creighton on Friday, I think it's going to have to guard the three. I remember that last year. Like I think Creighton hit like 14 threes last year, and that's going to be a big emphasis. Kalkbrenner's a great player, but I don't think he's going to really be the one to kill us. Every team's Nebraska's played this year, they've doubled the post. It doesn't matter how good or bad they have been. That's just what Nebraska's going to do. And so he'll get his points still, but I don't think it's really going to have to go through Kalkbrenner. It's going to be the other guys knocking down their shots.
You touched on it. That's Nebraska defense. They trap the post. They force you to shoot threes.
Hmm.
They won't let you get anything easy inside. You're gonna have to knock down perimeter shots. That's exactly how Fred Hoiberg beat Creighton 2 years ago. That's exactly how Greg McDermott beat Nebraska a year ago, is they made perimeter shots.
Yeah. Hmm.
On that, do you think that's going to be an effective defense come Friday? I
Um,
mean, it's been hit or miss so far. It's
yeah,
worked once and it hasn't four times, I think. This is the sixth matchup between
yeah.
Greg McDermott and Fred Hoiberg in the rivalry. But what do you think makes this defense such a interesting idea?
It really forces that post player to make passing decisions that he's not used to doing. And I'm sure Kalkbrenner's a decent playmaker, but I wouldn't say that's one of his big strengths.
Mm-hmm.
And then rotating on the backside, just a lot of teams aren't really used to seeing that. So it's a different kind of look for sure.
A Nebraska team that forces a lot of turnovers.
Hmm.
I mean, I watched the Creighton press or media availability today. Everybody talked about it. We can't turn the ball over. A Nebraska team that likes to score in transition, likes to run in transition, especially. A lot of teams will get the turnover, but they'll slow it down. Nebraska doesn't do that.
Yeah.
And a team that forces turnovers, to be quite
Hmm.
honest. Creighton can't turn the ball over on Friday, and that's going to be crucial because so far Creighton's turned the ball over quite a bit. If that happens, I think this game is going to be a lot closer than many people think. If I'm Creighton, this could be a game that could be nervous. I would be a little nervous for it just because I don't think we're as good shooting the ball as we were a year ago. I think we're way more athletic. Athletics is a good way to put it. We bring in Pop Isaacs, we
Hmm.
bring in Jemiah Neal, but we're just
Yeah.
not we're not as good of a shooting team as we were last year. And so if Nebraska can find a way to shut down Ashworth, especially shut down Kalkbrenner, this could be a very interesting game come Friday night.
Yeah, for sure. Nebraska does not want to be playing in the half court at all. They want to be running in transition. So yeah,
If Creighton gets Nebraska in the half court, Creighton will win this game probably pretty comfortably.
yeah,
It's up to Nebraska to see if they can throw them off, do something different. When we look at Nebraska's schedule, you had your game against St. Mary's the day before, or the game before, excuse me. But really, you're getting this long break, this four
yeah.
day break, this extended break until you really get a big, big test.
Mhm.
You had a close game against Bethune-Cookman. Did you go to that game at all?
I was at that game. That
What
was
what made that game so close?
that was one of the sloppiest basketball I've ever seen in my life, especially at the Division I level. Bethune Cookman was just chucking up three, so thankfully they didn't really take advantage. We scored what, 60 some points that game.
Yeah,
And
something like
so,
that.
yeah, and that was a game where Bryce Williams, he did not have a good game. He only played about 24 minutes. He had about like 6 turnovers looking at the box score that game.
Yeah.
So luckily they were able to rally around that. But against most teams, that's going to be the nail in the coffin for us.
Yeah. You hit it on the head, nail in the coffin. If you're going to turn the ball over that much, you might as well just give them the game.
Yeah.
I want to hear your predictions for a starting lineup on Friday.
Mhm.
Has Nebraska had the same starting lineup all season? Have there been some new faces? Because I know Creighton's been a little interchanging here and there.
Yeah, um there's one injury in like a exhibition, but other than that, they've started Raleigh Wooster at the point guard, Bryce Williams at the two, Juwan Gary at the three, Burke Buchengel at the four, and then Braxton Maya at the five. But with that five, like that might not be the five who wins the game. Connor Sejan off the bench and Andrew Morgan, kind of a backup big. If any of them two got it going, they'll close it out. It's not really like the first game of the year. Braxton Maya started at center. He maybe played 10 minutes that game. So just really going to be riding the hot hand.
You touched on it. Connor Sejan was maybe one of the biggest moves in the portal, and he doesn't get touched or talked about enough.
Mhm.
Coming over from Wisconsin, a team that he saw a lot of playing time as a freshman, and then that kind of diminished his sophomore year
Yeah.
completely. He wasn't really getting minutes at all. Transfers
Mhm.
to Nebraska. What do you think his role will be on Friday and then in the coming future?
Yeah, on Friday, he's going to have to come in and looking for a shot. Even if he's not getting shots, he's forcing the defense to guard him. You know, every guy is going to be attached on him, with rarely ever helping off. He's not a great defender. I mean, he gives a lot of effort on defense. I think he's listed at like 190 pounds. But
That's like throwing
um,
Carson Wolfe in the game.
yeah, that's like me right there. And so, but if he can get it going, he's one of the guys who can really change the game if he sees a few go in.
Oh yeah, I remember his freshman year. He had a few of those games that you were just like,
Yeah.
yeah, this kid belongs at the Division 1 level. He can score with the best of them. What do you think the score prediction will be on Friday?
Oh, I'm gonna say Nebraska 77, Creighton 70.
A Nebraska victory.
Yeah.
I
Feeling
don't
it.
know. I don't know why I'm surprised. I think Creighton wins this game by 20. I'll go
Really.
82-62. I don't see anybody on the Nebraska team who necessarily strikes fear into my eyes. I see Bryce Williams, and that's
Mhm.
about it. I did one of these earlier, and I kind of compared this Nebraska team to the Nebraska team with Bryce McGowan's. Um, in the terms of you have Bryce Williams, who is a bucket, and he's going to score and he will get his points. And then you
Mhm.
have not really a whole lot of other contributions. Do you think that was a misrepresentation of Nebraska basketball this year?
Well, I will say that the players surrounding Bryce Williams are a lot better than the players that surrounded Bryce McGowan's. I will say that, but overall, as a team fit, I think that's fairly accurate. But yeah, it's a lot of like catch and shoot guys. It's not a lot of guys who are just going to put up 20. You know,
Yeah.
Bryce Williams might be the only guy to touch 20 points this year.
In terms of the team itself, though, this Nebraska team is I want to say well rounded. I mean, they're gonna get stops on the defensive end, and you just kind of question
Mhm.
that offense so far.
Yeah.
But when you have Bryce McGowan's on your team, I mean, the offense should come hypothetically.
Yeah. Right now, as a team this year, they're shooting 25% from three, which is not where they want to be living,
Not
but
not good.
you're just kind of waiting on guys like Gavin Griffiths, who had a good freshman year at Rutgers, who transferred over. Just waiting on guys like him to just really come together. I feel like a lot of guys are not at their midseason form yet, so
And a
we'll
lot
have
of
to
that
see.
has to do with the transition. You're transferring,
Yeah.
it's a new fit, it's a new scheme, it's new offense, new defense. You have to get used to it. It's a different weather, new classes. Like it's new, it's different. A lot of those guys are going to need a little bit of an adjustment period. So I
Yeah.
agree. We're definitely not going to see the best Creighton and the best Nebraska on Friday. But I think
No.
that's the best part about having this game so early in the year is
Mhm.
these teams are just going to either get better or fall apart. Who knows? The basketball season
Yeah.
is long. It's interesting, but I guess we'll have to see. You predicted a Nebraska win on your first time on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
This is going to be a
I
crazy
don't know.
recap. If you're right, this is going to be a crazy recap. I don't even want to know what Sam Hildebrand's going to think. This is going to be
I
crazy.
don't regret it.
All righty. Well, Carson, I appreciate you coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to have you on for the recap for sure. For the rest of you guys at home, I appreciate you guys listening, and I'll see you guys later.